everyone, my name is Kaikun6 and I'm here to do another episode of Playlist Stories. And this one is going to be hopefully a little bit of a longer video. For some reason, something was going on with my phone where it kept saying like storage is full and I kept like deleting a lot of stuff off of it. So hopefully now I'll be able to make some longer videos in the near future. And if not, I'll continue making like 10-15 minute videos. But hopefully this one will be a little bit longer. I wanted to do like sort of like a Friends edition type of thing because I have talked about, in previous episodes before where certain songs remind me of certain people and then like it would a memory just attached to them and stuff like that. And most of the time they're like people that I don't talk to no more or they're still friends with. And so like I had this idea for a while, so I just thought, well, let me go talk about it and then see how it goes. And then like I remember talking about it with my husband and he was just like, yeah, you should like go for it and talk about it. And I just said, all right, cool. So this one is I don't know how many episodes it's gonna be for like all of the friends that I know or stuff like that. And who knows if any of them can actually figure it out, because I have a close friend of mine that actually figured out like some of these people's names or like who am I talking to, and I just thought I was kind of being sneaky with the nicknames, and of course I'm not, but they have no means of like reaching out to other people and stuff like that, so it's just completely fine. But this one is going to be sort of kind of obvious, especially with the way I'm going to be talking about them. So if you're watching this video, hi. Hopefully I didn't miss out too many details on there. And if you're new also to this channel, hi. I only make these series like once a month, and strap yourselves in so that way you guys can get to know me, and then to know what other experiences that I've been through, and that way you guys will know too. So anyway, let's get started. As you can see, the title, Original Prankster by the Offspring. There was this moment in time for my brother where he would, transition to a lot of genres of music, and especially with different bands and musicians and stuff like that. So for a while, he was like wondering like, what kind of person will I be if I listen to this type of music, this and this. And I remember he struggled with it for a while when he was like in his teenager years up until his 20s. And I just remembered like, like he's my older brother, like he, whatever he listens to, I'll listen to it too. And then, and I remember like my love for Limp Bizkit came from him, sorry. And then of course some Linkin Park, or the Offspring, and Sugar Ray, Blink-182, this and that. And then of course some other ones like Britney Spears and this and that, and then of course Tupac and Biggie, all that. Like it was just like he has such an eclectic taste in music, and I mean so do I, but I feel like I'm way more pickier than he is, and then like maybe a little bit more pickier than my sister, since she went for the whole route of like reggaeton, a lot of Mexican music, and then a lot of K-pop. And of course she still listens to the classics and all that also, but it was just like she found like the thing that makes her like really happy, and what to kind of like not base her personality around that type of thing, more like what just brings her really good happiness and stuff like that. And so I remember my brother was struggling with that for a very long time, and so he finally figured out like I'm just gonna go listen to almost everything except country and some Mexican music, because I know he grew up in Mexico and stuff like that, and he knows only like certain genres and stuff like that. But he came here to the US as a kid, and so he really liked a lot of American music for sure. And so there were some genres that he fell in love with, and so like whatever taste of music that he had like in the early 90s, late 90s, 2000s, it was just like what I listen to nowadays. And so majority of it, I would say, because there are some certain artists and musicians and bands that I really don't remember who I used to listen to. And so it's like I had to go through like sort of the boomer way, where I had to go figure it out through like watching some compilations of like songs and like videos from like pages on Facebook basically. So anyway, so this song definitely was just like something I listened to a lot in the background. and it was like something my brother would get into and this and that. Like I remember he only listened to like a couple of songs like back in MTV VH1 days when they were like playing music on there, and then plus like the radio, so he I remember he like brought over like CDs that he bought with his own money, or if not my mom bought them for him, and then he'll like try to listen to the complete albums, which he never really liked them. He only liked certain songs, and so from then on, he was a type of person where he'll buy the album just for the one song up until they invent something crazy. And of course, Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all these other music streaming services came out. And so it was like, okay, now I can stop buying albums and just buy certain songs, this and that. And then of course, it led to like, a lot of MP3 players being made and this. And of course, some of it was like illegally downloaded, but, or if not, just somehow like somebody purchased it and they downloaded through their MP3 player. And also when iPods were invented, like back in like 2001, I think. It was just crazy. Anyway, so like, I'm going to take you guys back to a year that maybe most of you are familiar with, which is like 1999, where Significant Other by Limp Bizkit came out. And I just remember my brother listening to it so much, and then he thought about like he wanted to go listen to other music and this and that. Around that time when that album came out, there was like a family moved into a house that was right across from my mother's house, basically. And they were very, very private people, because I felt like they've been around with like so many other different people throughout their whole life, and they thought that maybe this neighborhood, like my mom's house as the neighborhood over there, was like really nice enough where maybe their kids can grow up there and this and that. Well, like it was true, and then it was like 50% not true, because they were the only minority in the family, because this whole that whole neighborhood at the time was like run by Mexican families. So every single person on that block that we were like living in, like, were nothing but Mexicans. And just down the block from there, right before it hits to like a main street into Ontario, California, where there's like a church down there, and it's run by Black people, and that's all we really know. So we didn't even know if there was any more like white people living in the neighborhood up until this family showed up. And so we were kind of like, oh, are they really friendly? Are they going to be racist against us? Because, like racism has been around for so long. And I felt like the 90s, especially living in a Mexican neighborhood, were kind of like more racist than anything, basically. But like, it was just only sort of like, kind of like an inside joke for either people of like that grew up in Mexico, or just have like, the heritage, And so I just remembered seeing this family. They seemed like very, very nice, right? And so I just remembered like wanting to go play outside for a bit, and I played with my sister at the time. My brother, I think, was at work, or he was about to get ready to drop off from high school, because I remember he was like, I think in his sophomore year or junior year of high school, like he was like just 16, and he was just like, yeah, I don't think high school is for me, so I'm just going to drop out. And he dropped out, and he started working. And so he was kind of like, earning his own independence till there. But mainly it was just because to, earn some money and help my mom out, since like she was the only breadwinner in the house. My dad did his own thing also, but he didn't really help us financially that much. So anyway, the father of this family, I remember he came out of the house. I remembered it was like almost time for me to go back inside the house with my sister to go eat lunch. And I just remember this dude came up to us. He was like, I just remember it as like arm full of tattoos. He literally had the whole like biker look to him, especially like with my sister barely and I understanding any type of like cliques or defining people, I would say. But like, we felt like we watched so much TV and movies at that time where we identified this guy as like maybe a biker, right? But it was just mainly just his lifestyle. and he likes tattoos and all that stuff. So anyway, he came up to my dad and was just said, hey, I noticed that you're working on a car. Do you think you can help us out with something? And he was like, sure. So my dad went over to help him. He introduced himself, like who we are. And then over the years, like, I felt like we grew closer to that family. I mean, sure, they introduced themselves also to the other people in the neighborhood, but they weren't as close to them as we are with them, you know, that type of thing. And so eventually he brought over his daughter one day, and she was like a little bit older than me and my sister, like maybe a few years. And I just remember, like, you know, seeing her, and I was just like, oh wow, you know, like, she's a very interesting girl, right? And I think it was like my first time actually seeing a white girl with like blonde hair, like really pretty blonde hair and blue eyes. And I was like, wow, that's like really interesting. I've never met anybody like her. Basically all I've ever had was like Mexican friends and teachers that sort of have like those type of features. So anyway, so I'm gonna give her the nickname Cece. So Cece, I remember she introduced herself to me and my sister, and then eventually we became really close friends. Like, I remembered from 1999 to like 2004 were kind of like sort of the best years of my life, because not only because of music but because of her. And she became like my you know, my first best friend outside of school. And like, I had like a best friend in school, so it was kind of like, you know, that's really weird. I had one in school, and then now I had one outside of school. And then it turned out that, you know, since she was like a few years older than me, she was still in, like, she got enrolled in the same elementary school as I have, but we've never really hung out, you know, that type of thing, because she also had her own set of friends, and me and my sister, we were like, okay, that's cool. So almost every single day after school, or like whenever she had free time, she'll come over to my mom's house, hang out with us, you know, watch TV or play video games or stuff like that. And it was really fun because we got to know her, and like, you know, just in general, like, just to see what was going on, basically, like, what's going on with her, like, what's up with like the family and stuff. And she never really talked much about her family or herself that much. But I just remembered we just had so much fun playing with her. So at a certain time, I want to say it was like around 2002, 2003. It was kind of like a very years for basically for me and my sister. It got to the point where I think she just turned 11 or 12, and she wanted to have like this birthday party with the neighborhood. And of course, they invited everybody else, but she had like certain friends that she made in the neighborhood also that were kind of like older girls, like, and she was like the youngest of these group of girls. And of course we were like, oh, you know, we didn't know much about these other girls in the neighborhood, other than, you know, my brother telling me you should stay away from them, like, they're not good for you, this and this. And so I was just like, all right, cool, you know. And so at some point, like, even before when all this happened, like, I got to meet her brother. And her brother was, I'm gonna give her the nickname Zed. He was such a good kid, and he still is. Like, he's still a really good friend. And because I still talk to him as of today, but we at a certain point we like, you know, we didn't keep in contact with each other because, you know, phones weren't really a thing, and plus they didn't even know if they were going to keep in contact with us and this and that, since they were concentrating on their own lives, and that I understand. And so I just remember, like, just looking at this dude, and he had like this certain aura around him, right? And I felt like, dude, like he could be my best friend too. Like, why am I just sticking around with Cece? I should be friends with Zed. And so I remembered at one point, like, he'll talk to us for a little bit, but then when my brother came home, he just ran away, because at the time my brother was like really swole. Like, he had like these huge muscles, and for somebody at his height, like, everybody was really scared of him because of the way that he looked. Like, he did a lot of like weightlifting. He did a lot of exercise, especially when he was in high school, and he did it even more after high school when he had like all this free time from, you know, just working a few hours and then coming home, and then he was like doing weight lifts and everything that you can think of. Like, he had swole arms. So just imagine a teenager at the time. I think he was like 13 or 14 at the time, and looked at my brother, you know, and my brother was only like 5'6", right? And he was just only barely like maybe 5 foot something tall. So his like last few growth spurts were not going to be until he actually like hit puberty, right? So he was scared of my brother, definitely. And I remember him telling us a lot about, you know, he got scared about my brother. So so for a while, like, he will run away, but then he'll try to talk to me and my sister. And thanks to him, because I always told him that we had this dream, like I had this dream like years ago, where he was the first person to introduce us to boiled eggs, because we never ever had boiled eggs until he showed us how. And I remembered I was like telling my mom, like, Mom, let's go eat some boiled eggs, and she's just like, sure. And so I remember she followed the instructions that Zed told me, and so I told my mom. She made some boiled eggs, and then this and that. It was pretty good. So now it's like boiled eggs are just like now in our diets, especially when we eat ramen noodles. So, or if not, like a really good egg salad, depending on our moods, right? So I remember just this kid one day just showed up with a boiled egg in his hand and just like, hey, like, what are you eating? And then he's just like, oh, I'm eating a boiled egg. Like, have you guys never had it before? And I said, no, not like, absolutely not. And I don't remember after that if he let me taste it or touch the texture, or I remember just looking at it, because I'm just like, I didn't have his permission to touch it or eat it or something, but I just remember looking at it and remembering the look and the texture of it. So I was just like, I want to try making that one day. And of course my mom made some. It was really good, this and that. And so I remember he was telling me like how to make it, and then after that my brother came home, ran away basically. He was just like trying to say hi to my brother. My brother was just like, hey, what are you doing? And he's just like, oh, I'm just talking to your sister, I'm about to leave, bye. And that's just like, okay, that's really weird, right? So my brother just ended up like wondering like, what is mom making? I just said, you're not gonna believe this, but like this kid told me about boiled eggs, and I've never had boiled eggs before. My brother was just like, what the fuck is that, basically? And so I told him the concept, and he's just like, that sounds a little bit weird, isn't it? I just like, I don't know, we fry eggs all the time. We saute them and we put them in green beans to make like sometimes green bean patties and this and this. And so my brother's like, I'm gonna go give it a try. So my mom like made like one egg for each of us. And I remember my dad saying he didn't want to try it, but like I remember my sister only ate half of her egg, and then she gave the other half to my dad. And of course my dad being Mexican, and you know, my brother and my sister, well, my mom too being Mexican, they added salt to it, and then they were like, no, we need hot sauce. So they added hot sauce to it, and it was pretty good. And so the idea came afterward, where my brother was like, this would be really good with ramen noodles. And it was just so funny, because I was like just telling him like, yeah, that's what Zed told me, that he was gonna like, you should add him into ramen noodles. It was really good. And he's just like, that kid is really smart. And so since then my brother has tried to like, you know, be friends with him, you know, kind of like talk to him to see like, how's he about. And then of course, because he knows about like Cece coming over to the house often, and so my brother got to know her, this and that. And then you know, then like, but he was still scared of my brother. No matter how much my brother approached him, he was just like, I was still scared of you, you know. Like it's just like, you could freaking like destroy me, basically. You could like break me and this and that. And my brother was just like, I'm not gonna do that to you unless you do something wrong to us, especially to my sisters, because I'm a very overprotective brother. And he's like, oh, I get you, I'm the same way. And so I want to say now, around that time, now I could like speed forward to like 2002, 2003. So girls in the neighborhood showed up to, you know, Cece's birthday party. I think she turned 12, I think. My sister and I wanted to go over to her house so badly, but my mom was like, no, you cannot go without your brother, because like I got stuff to do at home, and then, you know, your dad is being, you know, a lazy fuck, and you know, you need to go over there with your brother. And so I finally convinced my mom. I was like, I want to go over there, don't worry, I'll hold my sister's hand the whole time. And then so we went over to her house, and of course we got to know the other girls in the neighborhood also. And immediately my gut feeling was just like, I'm only here just to go see Cece to say happy birthday to her, drop her off her gift, and then go back home. And that was the idea, because the girls in that neighborhood, like, I don't know if I should say their real names, because I don't remember the third one, because I remember there were 3 girls, and 2 of the names it was like on top of my head right now. But excuse me. No, actually now I know the 3 girls. It just took me a while. So I maybe I should say their real names, because it's not like nobody knows about them anymore, and who knows whatever happened to them. But there was Sam, April, and Lisa. I think that was the 3rd girl's name. I just remember one of them was like the mother of these kids, and she was young enough to like hang out with them. I don't know. It was just a weird time in the 90s, I'm telling you guys. Like, it was just like, you didn't even know if these women, like, or the girls were either of age, you know, of like, you know, 18 or older, or they were way younger. And especially for somebody that was like 12 years old at the time, which is like, used to be my friend Cece. And then the Sam and April were basically like already, you know, 16, 17 years old maybe. I don't know. But all I know is that they influenced Cece to be a certain way. And we didn't like that at all. Like, me and my sister, we didn't like that at all. So we decided to still be her friends and all that. And I remember at one point, like, she came over to the house after her birthday party happened, because like she started going into like these activities, and I don't know if I should say it to get her in trouble or not, but like I feel like a lot of things has happened since then where I'm like, I really want to be truthful, but I just remembered, you know, she was telling me and my sister that she finally, you know, lost her virginity to like a guy or something like that. And I was just like, oh, what are you talking about? And it's like, what, your parents have never gave you like the talk of sex? And I was like, no, not yet. And so she basically kind of like told us like sort of like a part of like what happened to her. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like we just couldn't relate to her, because like we were still children, you know, me and my sister, we were watching Disney Channel or fucking Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, that type of thing. Like, our knowledge of sex was just like nowhere near that, you know. And so I remember that particular day when she told us what happened, like she wanted my sister and I to go play outside, because of the fact that her quote unquote dad told us that she didn't want her in the house no more, which was a fucking complete lie, because I remember talking about this with Zed years and years ago, like around 2016, 2017, when I came back in contact with him at the time. And I'll tell you about that in a bit. So, and I remember him telling me like, yeah, that was a fucking lie, you know, because all she wanted to do was just like be outside, so that way the guy would come and pick her up, and then we were witnesses to like her potential kidnapping, or just to see like if her parents were concerned, you know, saying like, hey, what happened to Cece? And then we would be like, oh, she got picked up by this one guy, basically. And so we were kind of like backup witnesses in case Zed wasn't there. So yeah, so around 12 years old, she lost her virginity to like this dude, and I was just like, oh, I just didn't understand it. I was just like, okay. And she told us like the concept of it, like how it felt like, and I was just like, I didn't understand it either. And so she thought, well, all of you guys are just kids, so I need to hang around with people with you know, that are like my group range. And I was just like, all right, cool. And so since then, already the late 2003, she stopped coming over to my house, or my mom's house, I should say. So she started hanging out with Sam, April, and Lisa, and all the other girls in the neighborhood. And my brother knew about it, but he was just like, I'm not going to do about it. Probably she's just going through a phase. And then eventually came the time where it was like for them to move. Because I remember 2004 was like one of those years where it was just like, well, I was about to start middle school, or I was about to graduate from 6th grade or go into 7th grade or something like that. It was just like a time period where it was very confusing for me and my sister, where we were trying to figure out like, why were they moving and this and this. And all I remember was Zed came over with his sister saying like, we're very sorry, we're gonna have to move, something happened with the mortgage payments of the house and just this and this. It was just like we can't live here no more. And it's like, okay. And so they left us behind a cat, a black cat, and ironically her name is Blackie. And I want to say the great grandchildren is still at my mom's house as of today, because if it wasn't for Blackie, we would never have any cats in the neighborhood. And plus, it did help like reduce some population of like lizards and rats in the neighborhood, because it got really, really bad back in the late 90s for sure. And so, so we got Blackie as sort of like a gift. And not only that, because they couldn't keep a pet where they were going to live at. And they were living in an apartment somewhere in Upland. That's all I remembered. So, so they're like, Zed got really, really angry at that time because he really wanted to keep in contact with me and my sister and my brother. But for some reason, Cece was just like, I'm not having it. Like, they're just little girls. They just don't understand. And it's like, what the fuck, bitch? Basically, like you've been friends with them for so long. Like, they might have been, like, your best friends, and yet you still didn't want to, like, you know, keep in contact with them. And it's like, no, I don't want to. Sam, April, and all the other girls are just like my friends now. And it's like, okay, cool, bitch, you know, that type of thing. And so after that, I just remembered like going through this phase from 2004 to like high school. It was just like really, really crazy, because it was like around the time where, you know, Rhea showed up, and then the girl Yvonne, which was like her best friend at the time, and I don't remember what else. But it was like you heard certain rumors of like this girl named Cece just sleeping around with like all these guys in Upland and in Ontario and in San Bernardino and I don't know where else. It was just like in the IE, you know, the Inland Empire, which is the county that it's in. And so, and after 2006, that was when I stopped hearing much about, you know, Cece, because we had no idea what happened to her. Like, we heard rumors. My brother said he thought he saw them, but it wasn't true. And then the only one that really kept in contact with him was like another childhood friend of mine. And I grew up with them. Like, they used to live in the same household as my mom. So I'll do another video on that type of thing if you guys want me to. Or if not, I probably will, because like he was like another addition to my life where even as of today, I'm still talking to him. So, and he's like a really great friend. And so supposedly this friend, he like, you know, kept in contact with Zed, and he tried to, at least, because there was a few times where he lost contact with him, and then decided to, you know, try to see if he could still find them and stuff like that. And there was a good point where they haven't talked to each other in a couple years, and they went back, and then Zed became like really great best friends with him. A great best friend. Sorry, I can't even speak today. And I remember that too, because while this friend and his family were living with us at the time in my mom's house, like they were all best friends at a time, and even as of today, they're not really, because of what happened. I don't know what really happened. I've heard both sides of the story, and I'm still kind of confused, but all I know is that they just had a fallout, and so they just don't want to talk to each other. And I was like, well, that kind of sucks, because that was like a whole, like so many years of friendship just went down the drain. So I just remembered when I first met him back in high school, like I told my friend, like, do you still remember Zed and Cece and like his parents and this and that? It's like, oh yeah, like I still talk to them today. I was like, you're kidding me. It's like, yeah, no, like I still talk to them. At the time, I don't remember if they were living in San Bernardino or in Pomona or whatever. Like, they were living almost everywhere, and they had to constantly move a lot. And so it was telling me that, yeah, like, you will not believe Cece, like, the last time I seen her, she became like a whore, a slut, like, basically threw names at her. And I was just like, I had a feeling. I said, yeah, because ever since I've seen her when she was 12, I just noticed that she changed, and she was like not the Cece that I knew and grew up with, you know. And so he was like, well, if you want to, we can like talk to Zed and see if he wants to talk to us. And I don't remember if Zed was going through a phase 2 and he just didn't want to talk to me and my sister, and I just said that was fine. And so fast forward to 2016 and 17. I met up with a friend again, right? My childhood friend, or one of my childhood friends, I should say. And he said, hey, I think Zed wants to talk to you now. And I just said, really? He's like, yeah, okay, cool. Send him in. Because I was having a hangout with him and then my friend Choji. And I don't remember who else was in this hangout, but I remember it was like a really good group of friends. And then Zed wanted to come and talk to me, and I just remember adding him through Facebook. And then from there, friendship sailed, basically. Like, he and I caught up with so much what happened after 2004 and from 2016 and 17, and even as of today also. And so, like, he told us what happened throughout his, like, those years also. And then he said that he wanted to tell the story again to my brother. And I was just like, sure. But here's the thing. I don't know when my brother will be home because he has a very weird schedule. And he was like, don't worry. One day he showed up to the house. He was just like reliving through like the memories in that neighborhood and talking to every one of our neighbors too, since like they recognized him. They're like, oh my God, is that really Zed? And it's like, yeah. And so he got to talk to everybody, including like my brother's friends that was like still in the neighborhood as of today. And so it was kind of nice. So he was just like reliving memories. And then I got a message from him saying like, I'm here. And I was just like, here? Okay. So I went outside. I was just like, oh, no way. And so like, I remember hugging him. And then I was like, wow, you really grew. Like, he's like, yeah, you're short. And I was just like, yeah, I am very short. I've always been short. It's like, I haven't grown since the 4th grade. So I've always been 5'2". I always make that joke like I'm 5 foot. But who knows if I'm like 5'2" or 5'3". Who knows? But so he was like start laughing, and then he's just like, yeah, like let me come in. So he came in with like a skateboard and a water bottle. And then so my brother was home at the time. And then so my brother, and this was like around the time it was kind of awkward between me and my brother when it came to like Blake. And there was a certain incident that happened, which I have explained this in a previous video before. So so I just remembered like just sitting down in the kitchen, because that was where my mom's table was at the time, talked. My mom showed up, said hi to him. My dad showed up, also said hi to him, and then talked to him for a little bit, and then for him to continue like his story from like what happened like since 1999 to like 2017 and stuff like that. And so well, 16 or 17, because I was still confused about that year, because I remembered like just the following year I just decided I was going to move here to Texas, and that was like in 2018 that I first moved here. So anyway, so my brother got an insight of like what was going on with Zed's life, and my brother was just like, wow, like that's just fucking nuts. I can't believe this happened. In this, I didn't remember any of this crap, but I did remember about Sam and April and Lisa and Cece and Abel, this and that. And like it was just like, yeah, they were just like reliving through these memories back in like, you know, 1999 to 2004. And so he was just shocked about Cece, of how she grew up. And it's like, yeah, bro, like we all try to warn her, and then we did told her to still keep in contact with y'all, but you know, it just wouldn't happen, this and that. So after that, I don't know, just we had to go say bye because he had to go home. And then I made like some sort of dessert, and I was about to do that while he was here, but like my mom kind of like kept me occupied. And then plus I was like, you know, trying to see if he was able to go home and this and that. Luckily he had a ride home, because at the time he was like struggling to, you know, to get a car and this and that. So my brother wanted to drop him off, but he was like, no, like I have like supposedly he said his dad was gonna come and pick him up, and I think he did, because we didn't see him that much after. And then, to be honest, that was the last time I ever seen him in person, but I do talk to him a lot on Facebook. Like, but I feel bad because I'm not the one that's reaching out to him that often. He's always the one that sends me messages through Messenger, or if not, he'll like talk to me on like some posts on Facebook. Like if he shares something, I'll talk to him on there, of course, or if not, he'll do the same thing to me. But he's always been the one to reach out for me, and I just feel so bad. Like I have like this little thing, you know, kind of like I've talked about this with like so many friends before, and I remember like it's not a big deal, but to me it is. It's like I feel like if I try to reach out to people, I feel like I'm annoying them, even though I haven't like spoken to them in years. So it's just thought that was really weird. I remember I did that with Emo Barbie, which is another friend of mine. And so she was just like, you know what the fuck? I haven't heard from you from years. I haven't even seen you since the last time you were in California. Like, what the fuck? You know, like, it's okay. And I was just like, I know, but it's always been like that, you know? Like, it's just so weird. So anyway, for some reason, like, this song always reminds me of Zed. And, like, I just didn't know why. I don't know if it's because he also, liked the Offspring at the time, because I know his taste in music changed over the years for sure. And so, but like, I always felt like whenever I heard the song, it always reminds me of him and his sister and all the memories that I've had with them, and then like with his family and all that stuff too. Like, oh my goodness, like, oh my god, there was just so many memories there. It was just mainly like just reliving like you know, like certain memories with people. And then how, like, we will spend every day going out into the neighborhood, playing with each other, and this and that. Oh, it was just, it's a trip. It really is. And I just didn't know why this song like, when the song popped up, like, years and years ago, like, it was just, like, it just reminded me of him. And I felt like, well, I think he likes the Offspring, and he likes some sort of genres of music. But for some reason, it was just, like, this song in particular just reminds me of him. And it will forever be like attached to him and stuff like that. So, and I also believe that maybe because this song played when he first started coming to the neighborhood to come and talk to, you know, my sister and me, and then of course trying to talk to my brother before he got scared and ran off, that type of thing. And I just remember my brother said that he was just like, you were really scared of me? Like, dude, what the fuck was I gonna do to you? It's like, bro, have you not seen yourself back then? Like, you were fucking swole, dude. Like, you had these big-ass fucking muscles. Like, are you sure you weren't on the juice? And it's like, no, bro, that was all natural. Like, thanks to my dad's side of the family, like, we're, like, naturally muscular and, like, has some strength to it. And so he's like, bro, like, I honestly never thought that somebody would come up to you and ask you if you were on the juice, you know? And my brother was like, fuck no, why would I be on that shit, you know? Like I'm just happy, like, I got my muscles, you know? And, like, I wish I had them back. But now, like, I'm getting old and this and that. And so, it was just really funny. It was just one of those funny moments. And then so, like, he was just like, if I knew back then that, you know, like, if you're not gonna beat me up for, like, getting to know your sister, this and that, or your sisters, I should say, like, I would have done anything in my power to stay in contact with y'all, and then, you know, still be friends with you as of today, probably, like, you know, giving some advice or this and that, like, kind of like being, like, a second brother, you know, that type of thing. And my brother was just like, you should have. Like, honestly, like, if there was a time machine, bro, like, if you had that chance, you would have anyway. And it's not like you're, like, interested in any of my sisters, this and that. Like, you know, because he was being the overprotective brother, this and that. And Zed was just like, no, dude, like, back then I was obsessive of this girl that I had a crush on. And then I don't know if he ever dated her or not. I honestly do not remember her name. But I remember him talking about it a few times with us, especially when he was like talking to us online and this and that, and we just didn't know what happened. I was just like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't have a really good memory, you know, like, it's just been like, he has a way better memory than I do, because I remember him talking about some certain memories in the neighborhood that happened, and I didn't remember. I just remember, like, him giving me a recap for a few things that just made me thought of him and his sister and his family. And I'm just like, shit, like, gosh, just something I never remember. Even my brother was shocked. He was like, yeah, dude, you have a way better memory than me, and all this and that. And so all I know is that as of today, I am so glad that I did reach out to him just to keep in contact with him, and he was like wanting to be my friend, because I still want to be his friend, and just in general, just wanted to be his friend, because if I really wanted to be friends with a sister again, it would be a whole new type of ballpark, and I honestly do not want to be friends with a sister anymore. Like, she she made her decision back then, and even though we were kids, and of course maybe I could try to contact her now as an adult and this and that. No, after what he told me about his sister and like what kind of lifestyle she went through, like the drugs that she took, the how she endangers her kids. I don't know. It's a whole story. It was like she has kids. She was like swinging both ways, which, you know, she identified herself as bisexual and this and that, but like the relationships that she had with women that were very abusive, and then the relationships that she had with men were even more abusive. It was just crazy. And like, but from what I heard now, she's like a really good mother to 2 kids, I think, maybe 3 if, you know, if that were to happen. And then like she's in a really good relationship with her partner, so who knows. It was just crazy. Like, I'm telling you, like, it was just really crazy for me to think about, because it was like, I never thought that an old friend will be going through this and just like, you know, not reaching out for help, especially for like my family, because like if she did reach out to us, we would do whatever we can to help, but who knows. Anyway, I'm gonna end the video right here now. I'm gonna have to go clean up. Like, I still have a real huge mess in here, and I wanted to start painting ceramics again, and hopefully start writing again too, because I started rewriting some chapters for my main story, which is KMO1, and so far, like, the rewritten version of this one is sort of close to the original that I had when I was like a kid, but with just more improved scenery, more improved scenes in there. So hopefully this time will be the last time I will rewrite it. Like, if there was a chance that if I'll ever have to like self-publish it, which hopefully I will, hopefully I'll hire a ghostwriter, maybe, because like I said, my vocabulary over the years have went down. So if anything, like, this story is so much easier to understand, and plus like, I feel like a regular 18-year-old will pick this up and be like, this is the most easiest story I have ever read, and like there's no challenge in there, honestly. That's just my opinion. But anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna go before I ramble on, and I'm just gonna say hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I really did. I really enjoyed making this, because this was like you know, this was a friend that I still have as of today, and I still talk to him whenever I can, and you know, like, I cherish like every single one of my friendships, especially the ones that wants to stick around with me. So anyway, I'm gonna go now. So hopefully you guys have a lovely day and a lovely week, and I'll see you guys next week, which I still don't know what kind of video I'm gonna be making next week. It could be another crafting video, because I am still working on one, or if not, I'm gonna do probably a shopping finds, because I did shop for a few things these past 2 weeks, so we'll see. So anyway, bye everyone.